is up, Nerds Nation? Welcome to the Effin' Nerds podcast with the most dynamic duo in all of podcasting. I'm Nick Denizio, and sitting across from me is the dude, Martin Moreno.
Are you Nick Denizio?
I am Nick Denizio.
Or are you someone else under Wanda's control?
I don't know. We are recapping episode 6 of WandaVision, an all-new Halloween Spooktacular. But before we get started, if you nerds are watching on YouTube, please subscribe and hit that thumbs up. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else, check back each week as we upload new content for you guys to listen to. So remember, this will be a spoiler-heavy discussion. So if you have not yet watched episode 6 of WandaVision, get the fuck out of here! Go check it out and then come back to hear our breakdown, theories, and any Easter eggs we might find. So last week, Martin, the doors were kind of blown open with the arrival of Evan Peters as Quicksilver, kind of throwing into question everything we think we know about the MCU and, you know, kind of opening up what we think is the multiverse.
Right.
Supposedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
What I had meant to say was allegedly.
Allegedly. And then we also have Vision starting to figure out that things are not what they seem in this world that he's in. And we also have Sword, who have some fucking itchy trigger fingers, and they're getting ready to make a move on Wanda. Classic, just some classic shit. So jumping right into this, man, we're in the fucking 1990s.
Yes.
And it's awesome.
It is so cool. And it's not like the other episodes. Like, all the other episodes had essentially like a little bit of a cold opening before they went into the actual sitcom opening. This one was right off the bat.
Yes.
So, like, you know, we get this cool sort of like video footage with like cool punk rock music, cool font. Like, it was everything about it. I just thought was great and very reminiscent of like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, it has a very Malcolm in the Middle vibe to it.
Yeah.
I think you also said 10 Things I Hate About You.
Well, if you listen back to our effing discussion,
effing
discussion.
Yeah, effing discussion. Yeah, our first one.
Our first one, cheap plug with 10 Things I Hate About You. We kind of talked about how sort of music was kind of like a character in the film, the sort of punk rock. And when you think about it, that era, that's kind of what like MTV was kind of coming into play.
Yes.
So like the whole like punk rock MTV vibe was like very strong with the Force at that time.
Like me in like music videos and things like
music
that.
videos and all that stuff. So like the fact that they kind of really went heavy with it, and we got In Our Face was just like really cool, and just like it reminded us of our childhood.
Yes.
You know, like
it took me back.
Everything about it, I'm just like, and then from the very beginning, I'm just like, oh, like, why does this feel so right? Like it all felt. I was transported back to being younger and watching like Malcolm in the Middle, or even something like which we will get into is like this kind of like when the Real World kind of like also took off.
Yeah.
Because we were watching She's All That, and I remember that where like the Real World it was also again kind of like edgy, sort of like punk rocky vibes, but it was also them talking to the camera.
Yes,
that was different because that was more like interviews. But even though like we got like more of like kind of breaking the fourth wall right off the bat.
Yeah, and I think because like as soon as we get past like those opening credits and we kind of come right into the actual episode, Tommy and Billy are talking to the camera, and I'm pretty sure that's I haven't seen Malcolm in the Middle in the longest time, but I'm pretty sure that's what happens.
100% it is. Yeah,
he just starts walking around, just talking to us, the audience, letting us know what's going on.
Halloween's a magical holiday, all about family, friends, and the thrill of getting to be someone else for a day. Wrong. Halloween's about candy and scaring people, but mostly candy.
And the quick cuts, like the cutaways with the whoosh, with the quick like camera flash and everything. Yeah, everything about it was just so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. You know, so obviously this is Halloween. So the kids are getting ready to, putting their costumes on, things like that. And then we get to see both Wanda and Vision, and then eventually Quicksilver in their OG costumes. And it's pretty awesome.
It is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But like also in the intro, we get Quicksilver's powers.
Yeah,
like introducing Pietro Maximoff himself.
Yeah.
So the second we got the powers, we're like, oh my God, like we're actually seeing this all over again.
Well, dude, that's the thing too, man. Evan Peters like fits, like we kept talking about how Kathryn Hahn really fits like that old school, like 1950s, 60s kind of sitcom fit. Evan Peters really fits into this one really
and
well.
he's no stranger to television.
He's not, yeah.
So like he definitely does fit, and he's like just chewing it up.
Oh, he
we'll
really
talk
is,
about
man.
it more, but yeah, something that I noticed right off the bat was the fact that Tommy and Billy had the Wiccan and Speed color scheme. Their superhero costumes in the comics is like that off green and the red with like the headband and stuff. So that was really fun to see right off the bat. And another thing in the intro was the fact that Agnes had the word naughty on her butt.
Right.
So like whether she's like bad or mischievous or up to some bullshit.
Which we think she is.
Yeah, they kind of like they winked at it. But yeah, seeing both Wanda, just seeing all the old school costumes like Quicksilver, Wanda, Vision, all that was just kind of fun to see very early on.
Very early on, yeah. And then the thing that I liked when Vision came downstairs, he made mention that there was no other clothes in his closet.
Right.
You know, so right off the bat, we can tell that Vision is basically putting on somewhat of an act to try to play along to not like get up Wanda's suspicion.
But
so that
he was
can kinda,
snarky.
He was snarky as fuck.
Yeah, he was like, well, there's no other clothes in my closet. What the fuck am I going to do? And then the second Wanda kind of realizes it.
Then he kind of snaps
back
back
he kind of
into
snaps
it.
back into it, and like he plays along, and she just quickly falls like right into it.
Yep.
But yeah, that whole conversation between Wanda and Vision very early on just furthermore is showcasing the fact that like Vision's starting to become very self-aware that some bullshit is going on. And it's the fact that maybe Wanda's losing is also the more self-aware he comes, the more kind of control she loses.
Right.
Like she's telling him like, you're supposed to do this. We're supposed to go, trick-or-treating. And he's like, no.
He's like, no, I'm not doing
Bitch,
that.
I'm an independent man. I can do whatever the fuck I want. And then we get obviously like the back and forth between like Pietro and the kids, like shotgunning the sodas.
Oh yeah, which is hysterical.
And then like Pietro coming in and having like the little conversation that they had.
Well, that's the thing too, man, is there's like, we'll definitely really dive into Evan Peters' Quicksilver in this, in this discussion. But, right off the bat, there's a little bit that's off about him because him and Wanda have that conversation about their first Halloween, or not their first Halloween, but like the Halloween that they went on, and we get like a flashback to Sokovia, which is done in such a 90s sitcom kind of way.
That's what I'm saying, that whoosh, like
the whoosh,
back.
but just how it's shot and with like the cheesy trying to throw in like a joke there, but also it's a little menacing because you have a carjacking in the background, you hear gunshots going on.
Yeah, you see some like weird like nuclear posters in the background of like the gypsy. Where is this gypsy? Of the gypsy lady with the fish, and then like they're dressed. It looks like they're dressed as Nick Fury and Scarlet Widow.
Right,
not Scarlet Widow, Black Widow.
Black Widow, yeah.
Mixing up Scarlet Witch and Black Widow there. Crossing my nerd wires. But it looks like they're dressed up as Nick Fury and Black Widow. And he makes a little comment of like, oh, you're suppressing memories.
Yeah.
So, in traditional fashion, the more you kind of suppress, the more you kind of just let it all out.
And then just keep in mind that he does make mention that when Vision's leaving the kids, Pietro steps in. He's like, I could be a father figure to them, which is a little nod to something we're going to get into. And then he also drops that he has the XY chromosome, which I don't know if that was supposed to be like a little X-Men gag.
Yeah,
kind
like
of
when
thing.
you think of like X-Men 2, they talk about how like the male carrying, the guys carry the X chromosome for the mutant gene.
Right,
so to speak.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, and then the other thing too that I found pretty interesting about this too was like the 90s sitcom, right? So we've gone through each decade, just about, and this kind of is like late 90s, early 2000s, and this was when you kind of really had an interesting dynamic between the parents, because it was always in like the 50s, 60s, 70s, and I think even into the 80s, that the marriages were always like perfect. And it's like they were always teaching the kids lessons. When you got into like the Malcolm in the Middle and, Married with Children and different shows like that, you had the marriages also were not perfect either. There was a lot of dysfunction.
Was Married with Children 90s?
I think that was also 90s too,
Okay.
yeah. And you kind of really do see that, here with Wanda and Vision not being on the same page, it kind of follows that same sort of tradition. So it's really clever in how they're really like working in what sitcoms were like, but also into the plot of the show, which I thought was pretty cool.
And Billy has that very on the nose point where he's like, Mom and Dad have been arguing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, so as the episode moves on, then we go back to the sword camp, and it's kind of Monica and Hayward kind of dealing with the fallout of what happened with that standoff between Wanda, and they're really going at each other.
Yeah.
And they throw some fucking nasty one-liners to one another, where Hayward's going after, Monica's mom, and Monica calls him a coward and shit, and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, and we were kind of like, we were talking about how like Hayward is most likely up to some bullshit.
He's definitely up to some bullshit.
The more kind of stuff happens, the more I'm kind of losing faith in my theory that he's a Skrull. It's just because when we first met, I'm like, this guy's up to something.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's
you weren't wrong.
I wasn't wrong,
Yeah.
but I just felt like my instinct was like Skrull.
Right.
Skrull.
I mean,
But,
but it's not like it wouldn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because,
We'll see.
Because there also is the idea that, getting a little ahead of myself here, but that the secret cameo could also, like, if you want to downplay it a little bit, could be a Skrull.
Possibly.
Yes.
Possibly. So we'll see. I'm still holding on.
I know. We're still holding on.
So we'll see. But yeah, it goes to show also, because we were also talking about how like, Hayward's very kind of the whole cliche character of like very trigger happy, like want to get pull stuff away. But it's obvious that Hayward's been through some shit through the blip,
for
like
sure,
he said. So the fact that he was trying to keep everything together, there's probably some animosity towards, I guess, superheroes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hey, you guys couldn't stop Thanos, and look what happened. We had like a terrible we had 5 2020s.
Right.
So to speak,
Right.
like in the MCU world. So I guess there is some sort of natural animosity towards these supervillains because they couldn't get the job done. And very much, I think that's a little bit harkening back to what he says to Monica of like, you don't have the stomach for this job.
Yes.
You know, so like, you know, we're just peeling away these layers as to what's going on with Hayward and everything.
You know, and I also kind of get it too, because, you know, you don't know what it was like for him going through it, and to the point now where it's, you know, when you have people in positions of power and then they don't have their power anymore and they feel helpless in this act. You know, for someone like Hayward who doesn't want to go through that yet again, he's trying to hold on to as much power as he possibly can to control the situation, with, you know, not realizing that, bro, you have no power in the situation going up against Wanda, who could have single-handedly taken out Thanos by herself.
Right.
You know, so like his plan to say we're going to take Wanda out, like it's another Tony Stark. Not a great plan.
Yeah, like very ambitious, but like we said, this is probably the most. This is the most powerful Avengers.
Yes.
So like, good luck, bro. But yes, it's a whole like, if this can lead to possibly another blip, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that doesn't happen.
Right.
So
exactly.
it's like men and their egos, like we talked about.
But then obviously he gets a little offended when Monica calls him a coward, and then she basically tosses her, Darcy, and Jimmy out. But then we get, Jimmy kicks ass, man.
Bro, Jimmy throws hands.
Jimmy throws hands, dude. Possible spin-off, maybe?
No.
I know you're against it,
That's
but I don't know,
happen.
bro. Him and Darcy going around the
No,
MCU,
that sounds
solving mysteries.
As fun as that would be,
Like
it sounds
some
like
Scooby-Doo
a
shit.
terrible idea. It would be fun to watch, like it definitely would be, but it wouldn't, like, no, that just sounds like a terrible idea. I think they are amazing secondary characters, and they work, you know, complementing whatever we're watching.
Yep.
Jimmy has also grown on me since Ant-Man 2. I think just the whole, we always talk, we shit on Ant-Man 2 a lot, but it's just like, you know, the same general cheesy
like
comic
formulaic,
yeah, like he falls really hard into that. So I wasn't the biggest fan of his, but he's grown on me a lot in this
Well, I was
show.
gonna say too, between him, and it's not that I hated him or the character of Darcy, but like I really enjoy this team of those two plus Monica in this show.
Right,
Like,
these are the sidekicks.
Yeah, these are the sidekicks. But it's like I like their dynamic, and you know they're just really likable characters.
But yeah, seeing him throw hands, I'm like, oh, okay,
Nice.
okay,
Nice. Okay, Jimmy.
He's got a little bit of an edge to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved it. All right, so then now we go back into our sitcom, and we're full blown into Halloween here. And this is where I start getting really suspicious of Quicksilver, because he drops this line, bro. And I didn't even catch it at first. My brother hit me up and he texted me. He goes, bro, he says, unleash hell, demon spawns.
Right.
And what we know about the kids from the comics is that Wanda uses dark energy from Mephisto to create these kids.
Right.
So, and Mephisto being a devil-like character.
And he has some kind of horn.
No, he had the whole hair going, or it could have been like an Ace Ventura kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the hair of Quicksilver is like that. It's like this weird kind of like horn.
Yeah.
But it's
It reminded me of Ace Ventura. When
yeah,
nature
it almost
calls.
like adds to it. But yeah, it's a very like it's a very sort of common saying for like evil little kids, like, oh, these fucking demons.
I know
spawn.
demon spawns, yeah.
But in this situation,
In this context,
we're just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
What does it mean?
Is this Mephisto?
That's like honestly the best meme that I found of that.
Yeah, so like every single time we get a new character, we're like, oh, is that Mephisto?
Is that Mephisto?
So there is a lot of I don't want to say evidence, but Pietro's up to some shit.
He is up to some shit.
Pietro, he's a little bit of a sneaky character,
and Wanda also herself is getting very suspicious as well, because she keeps testing him. She keeps asking him questions about their past and seeing if he'll answer.
Right.
She's even like, what happened to your accent? And he goes, what happened to your accent?
But even that, like when she asks him that question about the orphanage, she doesn't answer.
He doesn't
He
answer.
answers the question with a question. You know,
which
very
deflecting.
sneaky.
He's deflecting.
You know, he had the diversion there, but right after that,
Yeah.
we got, the kids come over. We get the nice little kick-ass nod.
Oh, which is crazy.
Which is super
I
cool.
love that, man. That's just MCU just giving that nice little tip of the cap. Because if you guys don't know, with Kick-Ass, both Aaron Taylor Johnson, who plays the OG Quicksilver, and then you have Evan Pierce, who plays his best friend in Kick-Ass, is now here as Quicksilver again. Just a nice little nod.
How come nobody's ever tried to be a superhero?
Well, I don't know. Probably because it's fucking impossible, dipshit.
What, putting on a mask and helping people? How's that impossible?
Well, that's not superhero, though. How's that super? Super's like being stronger than everybody and flying and shit. That's just hero.
Jesus, guys, does it not bug you? Like, thousands of people want to be Paris Hilton and nobody wants to be Spider-Man.
Yeah, what's with that? She has, like, no tits at all.
Maybe it's the porn tape. He doesn't have a porn tape.
You guys never saw One Night in Spider-Man?
Yeah, so then moving on, this is when Wanda gets into a conversation with Herb, who's dressed up as Frankenstein, which I kind of found a little bit hilarious because, as you see these characters playing, even though they're the same person, through each sitcom, it's almost like they're different characters. And Frankenstein being, parts of different people. I just found it funny that Herb was playing Frankenstein.
Right.
But this is where Wanda finds out that Vision is not doing the neighborhood watch stuff like he said before. And eventually we catch up to what he's doing. But the interesting thing was Herb was like, is everything okay, Wanda? Do you want me to change anything?
Right. Once again, sort of kind of in a way doubling down on the fact that Wanda has the authority.
Yes.
That people kind of look up to her. Like when you think about in episode 3, when Herb was about to break to Vision, maybe it was like a moment of weakness.
Yeah.
Where maybe Vision can help us, possibly. So like when it comes to him, he kind of put his guard down a little bit. But when it comes to Wanda, he's like on this shit. Like, do you want me to change anything?
Right.
Is there anything you need? And she again, she's like, that's a weird too, because Wanda says like no, but it's almost like it's like, why are you asking me this?
Exactly.
But,
it's almost like she's not expecting Herb to be like in on what's going on here.
And it's also kind of weird to see Wanda sort of like be taken back by the fact that people ask her, like when Agnes asks her in the previous episode, like, do you want to take him from the top?
You want to do it
when he says like, do you want me to change anything? It's like, it's almost like she's either A, like, why are they kind of not playing their role?
Right.
Or like B, like, why are you asking me this?
Yes.
It's like, but you're in control, supposedly.
Right.
So
it's weird.
It's weird.
It's weird, bro.
Yo! Weird, dude. Weird!
I also want to give a shout out to A Bite Of podcast. They kind of came up with this idea that some of the neighbors could also be witches as well. I think it's called the Salem 7, which I think you know a little bit about, right?
Right, yeah. So Agnes essentially turns on them.
Right, she turns on them. They burn her. Jesus Christ, that's a heavy. But like, it's the fact that a lot of these neighbors are also in on what's going on as well, so that they could also be, part of it. That's why like somebody like Herb, where he's asking Wanda, do you want me to change something for you?
Because they can be feeding off it.
They could be feeding off of it.
Or one of our OG theories that these are people behind the trees just looking. Like they come across and you're like, oh, what's going on here? I sense a lot of grief. I sense a lot of pain and torture. Let me know. Let me feed off. Just to give myself some energy. But funny that you mentioned that. We don't see Norm or Dottie. We don't see the husband. So there's a lot of so we see a lot more people, but we also kind of like got rid of a lot of the.
We did. We haven't seen Norm or Dottie since that little gag in episode 3.
Well, we saw Norm is the communist.
Oh yeah, Norm is the communist.
The other I can't remember what
I forget what the other guy's name is too. The guy with the mustache. Well, in the one episode he has a mustache.
Right.
Yeah.
So but we haven't seen those two in a while.
Yeah, we haven't seen those two in a while, definitely. But so after that, it's where we kind of catch up with Vision, where he's basically just walking through the neighborhood, and we get to your favorite shot.
Yes.
Which is the one neighbor where she's
trapped.
She's trapped, basically.
It's some shit from Get Out.
Yeah.
When you think of the maid, when she's like, or just when they're trapped in their bodies and they start crying.
Yeah, and you get the little single tear going.
Yeah, but it's almost like she's been doing that. God knows how long she's just been there, kind of just. You almost kind of hear her helping, like screaming for Vision.
Yes.
I don't actually. Okay, I'll tell you of what came to mind when I saw that. The Get Out is the thing that I said because that's obviously the most kind of noticeable thing.
Right.
But there's in Nip Tuck, when they had the whole series, for the people who have watched Nip Tuck, for all Nip Tuck fans, there's this one kind of storyline when they have this serial killer called the Carver. Mm-hmm. And he essentially goes around like carving people, and then the victims go to Troy McNamara, and they kind of fix him up for free. So this one chick, once that kind of made news, I'm going off on a tangent. When that kind of made news, this one chick kind of like cuts herself up, and she goes in and says that she's a Carver victim when she really isn't, so she can get kind of
like plastic surgery.
Yeah, plastic surgery. Little do they know, I'm not gonna spoil it for anyone who kind of wants to watch it, but the actual serial killer found their way into the surgery room and sort of drugged her with like a paralyzer, but she could feel everything.
Oh no.
So when they're doing the surgery, like they kind of go into her head.
Yeah.
So she's like, wait, what are you doing? What about this? And she's like screaming in her head. And then like, while they're doing it, and then she's like crying.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the first thing I thought about, because like I just pictured this chick, like she's doing this, she can see Vision.
Yes.
And apparently like the Avengers are celebrities, which makes sense. Everyone knows them.
Right.
So she probably sees Vision. She's like trying to scream to him, like, help me.
Yes.
Like,
Help me, nigga. Help me.
so yeah, that whole thing, it just adds to we get our constant sort of creepy flavor in every single episode, and that was like our creepy flavor.
And this episode specifically, and it's appropriate that it's Halloween, really amps up that creepiness factor. And it also kind of shows that the further Vision gets from, I guess, like his home, him and Wanda's home, is almost like the less of a reach Wanda has with her powers in terms of controlling people, but it's still enough that they're frozen, you know, or stuck in some sort of like routine. You know what I mean?
Like a trance,
hex. Like a trance, or or like a hex. Ooh, yeah.
And yeah, it's almost like the house is like at the center of the hex. That's like the most powerful stuff.
Right.
The eye of the storm.
The eye of the storm. Yeah,
it's, like
it's where Wanda is.
And then the more you branch out, the sort of weaker it gets.
Yes. And then we get this fucking fantastic transition into the Yo Magic commercial.
My favorite transition yet into a commercial. It was so well. It was like a legit commercial.
Right.
And the commercial it's so much fun. It's like your classic like claymation 90s, a cool shark. When you think of like Street Sharks, when you think of like everything, it was just very
and
like.
It felt like almost like a Go-Gurt. I mean, it was about yogurt, but it felt like a Go-Gurt
commercial.
It did feel
it was 100% like a fucking yogurt commercial, like a Yo Play or yogurt commercial. But yeah, here's when we get a little bit more into our. You have a great theory on it. Which you will get into with the Infinity Stones. But for me, I kind of saw this as kind of like... Actually, we'll go back to this.
You want to come back to this?
We'll come back to this.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was a cool commercial.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool commercial. I mean, like I don't want to take credit for where I got this from. I got it from Den of Geek because they've been doing really great breakdowns of WandaVision. But they had this thing where even though these commercials have been linked to Wanda's trauma, they've also been linked to each Infinity Stone.
In a way.
So like the first commercial with the toaster, I don't know if it was a symbol or the way the toaster was shaped looked like the Mind Stone, and they mentioned something with 4 heads. I don't even remember. They break it down. But then also when you go into, obviously the Hydra Watch deals with time. The Hydra Soak is shaped like a Tesseract. What was the other one?
The other one was the Lagos, the Reality Stone.
Oh yes, the Lagos, which the red was the Reality Stone. This one obviously being the creepiest one, which is so fucked up with this kid just dying on this island, not being able to get the yogurt open, but the Soul Stone.
Right.
But the other thing too is that obviously it's Yo Magic and feeding off of Yo Magic. So
you need magic to survive.
Which we'll definitely get into. But Martin, we've arrived. We're now at this week's edition of Who the Fuck Could Mephisto Be?
Who the fuck is this asshole?
And we have Exhibit A, Quicksilver.
Yes.
So this is where he really starts to pry into Wanda with questions, just different things that he's like asking her. But he knows how Quicksilver died.
Exactly. He's showing off that he knows
something. Yeah. But I don't believe that he is. I mean, at this point, I don't think anybody does, but I don't believe that he's actually Pietro.
Right. Because everyone knows how, which is something that's kind of, it is a little strange how on the other episode they were talking about how like, oh, she could have taken out Thanos if he didn't call a blitz. The fact that Darcy before is like, I know it's weird shit, but like he's dead, right?
Right.
So the fact like it's almost like there's like stories of like what happened.
There's common knowledge between a lot of people as to what's going on with the Avengers.
It's like there's like
and the
breakdowns,
MCU.
like oh, this happened here, and I get it. It's like these are like these like. I guarantee, like, if this was a real world situation, like, we'll be following all these people on Instagram,
absolutely,
getting all the information out to like what's going on. So yeah, everyone has a sort of common knowledge of what happened to the Avengers, and I'm sure there's stories out there of Wanda's brother who died on Sokovia, fighting Ultron. So it literally could be like that sort of hint of knowledge doesn't really mean anything because I'm sure a lot of people know it.
Right.
It's like we were saying before. It's the suppressing memories. She says, I don't remember that. And he says, you were suppressing memories. So it either didn't happen, he was bullshitting, or she really was suppressing it. And then again, when he asked the question about the orphanage, he pretty much says like, he doesn't answer it.
So
some shady shit is going on.
Yeah, and
here.
obviously, Wanda has suffered some sort of mental breakdown. We know this. And obviously her mind is not there right now. So he's basically just playing into it, basically saying like, oh, you just don't remember, or like you said, you're suppressing memories. So he's playing into that.
I remember she got blipped.
And yeah, she got blipped.
Right.
She got blipped. So she's confused. You know what I mean? But this is also where there's just, I think it's reiterated that Quicksilver's a bad influence on the kids, and then this is also where Tommy discovers his powers. Which is awesome. He figures out he can run fast.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And then we also get this really great shot of a cinema marquee, and it shows The Incredibles playing, which is Superhero Family, which is what we got going on here, and then The Parent Trap. And, both of those movies, Parent Trap came out, I think, in 98, and Incredibles came out in 2004. So that's where we kind of peg this as like late 90s, early 2000s.
It also could be like a nice little nod to like Pietro playing the dad.
Could.
You know, like
Very well
we
could.
got someone in there playing like the father figure. But also too, he says when he's prying her, he says like, I was supposed to come here and give you grief.
Yeah.
So we keep talking about Mephisto, how he feeds off, you know, like people's like torture and pain and stuff. So he could be a sort of like kind of spy or agent sent in there just to kind of torture her.
Right.
So then like they can get more sort of like, you know, more like they feed off.
Yes,
they feed
exactly.
off a little
You
bit
know,
more.
and I don't want to throw a wrench into, you know, this theory that we've had since, you know, going all the way back to episode 1, but there was somebody out there that also said that this could be the character of Nightmare, because Nightmare, I think at one point was also rumored to be the main villain in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So
Right.
that's, so not that there's anything that you want to, you know, give like a whole lot of credit to, like a rumor, but it is a possibility. And Nightmare is very similar, I guess, in the sense of Mephisto in terms of like hallucinations and what they do. So
Mephisto's
it's like
just like way more powerful.
exactly, which is why I think it would be a better choice to have Mephisto, but it could just be this character of Nightmare as
And
well.
Mephisto would just be a great MCU villain.
Yeah.
Like he'd be like he's definitely a villain that you can like kind of hold on to for a little bit.
Right.
For a while.
Right. All right. So now I kind of want to catch up with Vision. So we find him and he's going past Ellis Avenue, which I guess was reiterated throughout the episode. Wanda keeps telling her kids, don't go past Ellis Avenue, don't go past Ellis Avenue. And when we get there, we find out why. It's because everyone there is frozen. Now we're kind of at like the edge of like where Wanda's powers are and the edge of the hex. And it, not for nothing, dude, it kind of reminded me of like playing a video game, you know, because in a video game, you have like, if you have a video game, even like open world stuff where you can kind of roam around free and you just have all these random people that are just walking around, like they remind me of like NPCs. And it's like when you get to a certain point of like the boundary of the game, you can see stuff, but you can't reach it. So it's almost like
You're
they
like
had
running
a-
in place.
Exactly, like
Yeah.
walking in place. So it kind of reminded me of that, which I found pretty funny. But you know, once again, it amps up this creepiness factor of people just being frozen there trick-or-treating. And then this is where Vision can kind of relax and go back to his natural form. This is where we get this awesome shot of him flying up in the air, which is
Just like
very,
Superman
very,
shot.
yeah, very reminiscent of Superman.
And that moment too reminded me of like a Disney Channel original movie, like a
Oh,
Halloween.
that's right, you were saying
original-
that, yeah.
I'm like, this feels like fucking Halloween Town. This feels like Under Wraps.
Yeah.
This feels like something like that. But yeah, the fact it's kind of reiterating the fact that just how far the reach goes.
Yes.
You know, like we have these pawns, but you know they're just there, but they're not moving, they're not functioning. So, you know, whenever we're around Wanda, everything seems to be good. But the farther we get away from her, like the more kind of crazier the shit gets.
Right. And when Vision's up in the air too, we actually see how big Westvield's a lot bigger than I thought it was.
Oh, yeah.
It's huge.
That's
dude.
what I'm saying, bro. Once we get that blast, we'll talk about it. We'll talk
I
about
know,
it.
dude. So as Vision is looking around, he notices this car that's kind of at the edge of the road, and he goes up to it, and it's Agnes sitting in the car. Now, at first, I was a little curious about this scene because, you know, Vision obviously wakes Agnes up, and she's, you know, like, oh, you know, you're Vision, you're an Avenger, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, it's just weird though because we've been expecting her to be this character, Agatha Harkness, for the longest time. So for her to act like a normal person, like as if she's also trapped there too, at first I was a little disappointed, but then, you know, the more I thought about it, and I actually, you know, I'm like, she could just be totally fucking with him.
She's a witch.
Yeah, because she's a witch. And she also blames Wanda for what's happening. Now, if we go back to the last episode, when Vision wakes up Norm, he doesn't say Wanda, he just says she. So it kind of leads you to believe that it might not be Wanda, but, you know, here Agatha specifically blames Wanda. So it's just interesting as to trying to figure out like what exactly is happening.
Like in hypotheticals.
In hypotheticals,
she could be sort of turning Vision more like Vision's already sort of suspicious of Wanda and
Right.
kind of turning on her a little bit, and she could sort of like be antagonizing him.
Yes.
And sort of like pushing him to like kind of putting more seeds in his head to the fact that, you know, she's up to something. But I'm with you.
Yeah.
I definitely think she's up to some shit. I don't really buy it.
You know, also like why would she be there? You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, like why would she be all the way on the edge of the hex? How did she get there?
It could
you know
be
what
a
I mean?
thing where she's like, okay, Vision's on his own. Maybe this is my chance to kind of get in there and stir some shit up, you know?
Stir some shit up. Or she's also, I mean, because obviously in the comics, she's a bit of, you know, sometimes she's a friend, sometimes she's a foe. It could be that she also is somewhat trapped, but she's also this character. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
I would also think that she'd be a little too powerful to kind of.
I think so
be-
too. Yeah.
And also, like when you remember back to episode 4 when they were doing, you know, who's who, we didn't get an identification.
I know. That
Agnes,
just,
so-
I mean, and there's just too much. There's too much going on. She's in a fucking witch costume. She had naughty on her ass in the credits. You know what I
Right.
mean? There's too much stuff going on.
I'll
here.
be honest. If it turns out that she's no one, I'll probably be a little disappointed.
I would be disappointed too
Yeah.
because what was the point of the rest of all that stuff?
Right,
You
I
know
think
what
there was
mean?
definitely something leading up to it. And if it was like just them trying to be cheeky, I don't don't know.
I know. I don't buy that either.
I don't know, but yeah, we kind of like we were saying before, just the whole fact that she tells him like you're dead. You know, the fact that all these people know kind of what's going on in regards to like what happened with the Avengers, and reiterating the fact that he doesn't know or doesn't remember anything before Westview.
Yes.
Which essentially, this is something I want to harness back to. But, you know, before he's like, remember, Vision's been dead for 6 years.
Yes.
Because he died in Infinity War.
Right.
Then we got the blip.
The
And then Wanda comes back and then she puts them together again. So it's been like almost, 5 years.
Yeah.
Since he's been dead.
Right.
So it's been a while. So, you know, and the fact that he can't remember anything that happened, kind of just reiterating the fact that, you know, not all the wires are properly working there, or someone's in there kind of fucking shit up. But he's too smart. That's why he is
too smart.
Realizing everything.
So yeah, I'm glad you actually mentioned Vision getting put back together. So, you know, we go back to like the sword facility, and this is where we have Monica, Jimmy, and Darcy kind of breaking back in.
And they're like in a tech room.
Yeah, they're basically in a tech room, and they're trying to figure out what Hayward's up to. So Darcy starts like hacking the files and stuff, and she comes across the fact that they're tracking Vision. They have almost like a tracker on him. And with that tracker being on him, they're also able to tell the people, I guess, that are in his vicinity, however far out that is. But you can also kind of assume that they have some sort of a head count as to how many people are inside the hex. So Hayward's known a lot more than he's been leading on.
Which, again, could be good or bad. He can be like, look, she's got like 100 people hostage. Like, these are lives that we need to fucking save.
Right.
But yeah, they're tracking like the vibranium.
Tracking the vibranium in him. And the other thing too about it is the fact that he's somewhat like tracked and he's somewhat like bugged almost. You know, we've assumed that Wanda breaking Vision out could have been her stealing him, but she could have also been saving him, because we don't know what Sword was doing with his body. You know, because in his living will, it said something along the lines of, I mean, I don't remember what exactly they said, but
like, don't use me as a weapon.
Just don't use me as a weapon. So why are they fucking around with him?
See, and so this is what I love. This is what I love about the fact that we keep talking about the luxury of Marvel and all these years of storytelling. I love that we have so much before this. Like, so we're watching, again, recently, we're watching Infinity War.
Yeah, it's been on all weekend.
I love that, villain gets killed, right? He gets got. Then 5 years happen. Vision has been under sort of, they've been running quote unquote tests, experimenting on him for 5 years.
Right.
Okay. Wanda comes back 5 years later after she got blipped. She's obviously sad. And then at some point she found out what was going on, because that's why she went to Sword, to break him out, whether it was to save him or to get him out of there. At some point, Wanda realized what's happening. She realized that Vision was at Sword. And now if you put yourself in her head, hypothetically speaking, if they were maybe trying to weaponize him, right, you know, or regardless of what, you know, she's come back for 5 years. She knows that her boo has been being experimented on for 5 years. She's obviously gonna get pissed. So now she's gonna go and she's gonna break him out of there. Right. And I hope if we don't get this, it's fine. But I hope we get something, because I think we're gonna get the origins of how everything came about.
I think we are too.
I hope we start right after that sort of conversation with Clint.
Yes.
That's what we're saying. I think
at the end of Endgame.
Yeah, I think that's how you can possibly bring in Clint again. We're talking about. I hope we get right after that pickup, right from there, her kind of sitting around, realizing what's happening, being upset, reacting to it in some sort of way, and then going and breaking him out, and then kind of all the shit kind of starts. But yeah, Hayward's up to some shit. He's been up to some shit for a while now, because remember, he became director. He's been director for at least 3 years now, so he's had this sort of high clearance protocol. So scheming, bro.
I don't know, man. Like, I'm really starting to get on board with the whole fact that they might have been trying to bring Ultron back. I'm starting to get on board with that. Not that it's going to happen or come to fruition, but I feel like that'd be a cool little like drop, as if that's like they were trying to bring back a form of Ultron because of what happened with Thanos, and they need some sort of they need a bigger defense, you know.
If we think about Hayward and the similarities between Hayward and Tony, you know, if Hayward is really doing his best to make sure that the blip or something like that never happens again, and he needs a suit of armor around the world, and by doing that you need to bring kind of Ultron back, like, yeah, I get it, you know. So if that is the case, then cool. We'll find out though, but I'm excited.
I know. So while these guys are kind of poking around, Darcy gets a look at Monica's x-rays.
Dun, dun, dun.
And we find out that her cells have been altered, bro. I mean, yeah. I mean, this is it. This is the X-Men.
This is how you can, I guess. I mean, we've gotten this shit. You know, when you think of Captain America, he was an experiment.
Right.
When you think of Wanda herself, she was an experiment from the Mind Stone.
Right.
So the Mind Stone, since she was made from the Mind Stone, and her powers are sort of like Infinity Stone powers, like, yeah, why can't she this sort of radiation affect other people and maybe create, other superheroes, aka the X-Men,
Right.
Imagine they call them the Hexmen because they were all the people in the Hex. That'd be terrible.
That would be awful.
Oh my God.
That would be so bad.
Please don't do it. Like,
Don't do
what are we going to call these people? Well, they were in the Hex. Call them the Hexmen. Oh, it doesn't sound good. Let's just call them X-Men. Oh, yeah. No, please, no.
That's some awful writing.
That's terrible writing. But,
but this is cool, though, because I think we can assume that we're going to see Monica have her powers
right
at some point. I think probably towards like the end, maybe the final episode, we'll see those powers really come to fruition. Obviously, because of what happens.
And all the people in there obviously are getting the same sort of...
well, that's the thing, man. So
they're getting their cells affected in that molecular level as well.
Right. And, the fact that Monica was in there for such a short amount of time, this is already happening to her. What's going to happen to these people that have been in there this entire time?
Probably might die.
I might
there might be a lot of cancer cases going on. But yeah, well, I want to come back to this towards the end.
Okay. All right. Yeah, cool. So moving on, this is where we get Vision now. So now he's at the edge of the Hex and he starts to push himself through. And bro, I'll give you props for it. You're right. He's completely tied to this Hex, and if he leaves, he's gonna die because as he's pushing himself out, he's coming apart.
Right.
And it's hard to watch.
It is hard to watch. It was a really great scene. It was really well done, and I think this is harnessing back to the commercial.
Yes.
Because I think the kid, without the magic, aka Wanda's magic or whatever's going on inside the Hex, without that magic, you're gonna die.
There it is.
Well, there it is. Yeah. So, and it was not like we were talking about. It wasn't just like the corpse like we saw in Infinity War. It was like pieces.
It was pieces, and that's the interesting thing too, man. Because I think we thought when we saw him with the Vision in Episode 4 that was actually him. That's what he really looked like. But then he's pushing himself through, and he looks normal. And he also has the Mind Stone. So did Wanda rebuild it? Like that's I'm seeing that, and I'm like, all right, well, the Sword is seeing this. They're seeing that he looks like Vision. They're not like freaked out that it's some dude with that hole in his head. Yeah. So like he's there. He's got the stone in his head. Like I'm really curious to see.
What just kind of came into my mind?
What?
Oh my God, I just keep mind blowing myself throughout, like while we're live. What if because they were quantum jumping? What if she quantum jumped and this is an older version of Vision, and she kind of reprogrammed him?
Shit, bro.
Could be it too. So the second he leaves the Hex, he's being sucked back into the quantum.
So realm. That this is not the OG Vision. This is not a different Vision.
It's a different version of Vision, and the second he comes out, he's kind of getting pulled back into maybe. This could be like a quantum realm kind of thing, where he's getting sucked back into it because you don't want to fuck with it. You can't cut off that branch.
I know.
Like this branch only exists here.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's interesting.
And they make the mention in Endgame that this is an alternate. Like you're gonna cause a different branch of alternate reality. Maybe Wanda did some sort of quantum bullshit, and and it's how you can get Scott in and all that stuff.
Yes, and then
just a theory.
It's definitely a theory, but I like that one though. But earlier in the episode they refer to it's Quicksilver. He's talking to Scarlet Witch, and he's basically like, when you find Shangri-La, you don't want to be reminded of the past. So he refers to the Hex as Shangri-La, which is like this paradise, and it's been assumed that like Wanda's altering it, but maybe it's not. It's like the Hex itself is another dimension. Is another multiverse. You know what I mean? So it's very possible that this could be a different Vision. And
I think it's I still think that it's just kind of like it was somewhat accidental, but she's playing along.
Yeah.
But she's powerful enough to understand that like you're not gonna fuck with me. Like I'll play your little game, whatever's going on, but
Bro, and then I also came to the realization that we're gonna have to fucking watch Vision die again too. It's gonna happen because obviously
we watched him die three
fucking times.
Oh my God!
God
Poor
damn
Vision.
it.
Hopefully not. Hopefully they figure out some way
to keep him or whatever.
Alive, but yeah, we'll Vision's had it rough, man.
He's had dude, man.
Before this, the last time we saw him was Infinity War.
Yep.
So
he's getting his ass kicked.
The guy's ass kicked by fucking
everybody.
By everyone. All the children, Thanos, Corvus, and everyone. And now here, like, poor dude, man.
I know.
For a fucking robot, he's going through some serious human shit.
No more! I can't take it anymore. Please. You brought my glasses. Bless your little heart. That's not right.
But yeah, so as Vision is trying to push himself out, this is where Billy just discovers his powers now too. This is where he hears vision, and obviously he's taking after his mom with the psychic abilities.
Yeah, telepathic and all that
good stuff. And then he runs over to his mom to let her know like what's happening. And this is where Quicksilver drops that line. What are you worried about? Your dead husband can't die twice.
And I shouldn't have said that.
I should have said that.
Shouldn't have said that.
Don't sweat it, sis. It's not like your dead husband can die twice.
And this is where we really see, her powers on full display because she just starts expanding the hex. And as she's expanding it, she brings Vision back in. And I was always curious, too, if next week, if his mind's going to be rewiped.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's very possible that, like they wiped the hard drive. We forgot to mention, though, the cool dead Pietro.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, she has
right.
another vision.
Yeah, when she sees kind of Pietro dead all shot up. So, again, that could be something that could be... someone's powerful as Mephisto.
Right.
Could be just putting that in her head.
That's what I'm thinking at this point now, too.
Just to kind of break the tension or break her, suspicions.
Suspicions, yeah, kind of keep her in check almost,
Right.
Yeah, like plant some fear into her.
Right, so obviously she, again, like we said, she makes the hex bigger because obviously he needs the magic or he needs whatever's going on inside the hex to survive.
Yes.
The second it gets bigger,
he goes back to normal.
Yep. So that, and as the thing is getting bigger, all the sword agents, everyone's kind of
getting sucked in, including Darcy. Darcy's in there now,
Darcy
too.
gets sucked in. We don't know what happens to her.
I know.
But I actually haven't looked it up to see if Darcy is a superhero in the comics.
Maybe. It's possible.
Who knows? But like everyone's essentially getting sucked in. They're all turning into circus clowns.
Which is hysterical.
Which is great. We have the great mention of Darcy in episode 4 when she's like, oh, this is the clown car.
Yeah.
But Wanda could also just see these people as fucking clowns.
That's what I assume, too.
Like,
this is a fucking circus.
Yeah. And obviously, Monica and Jimmy aren't being sucked into it because they got a head start because they're meeting up with Monica's guy.
All right, so I would assume that the next episode is when we're going to get this cameo,
yes.
right? It has to be.
And it's episode 7, which I said, I'm like, episode 7 is when we're going to get our thing.
And, Elizabeth Olsen teased the cameo on the level of Luke Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody that can really match that.
Not even Tony.
Not even Tony.
No.
But if you're going to introduce Reed Richards, the leader of the Fantastic Four, into this, or Victor Von Doom, one of the biggest villains that the MCU could possibly have in the future, like if you're going to introduce either one of those two characters, that's a huge cameo.
That's a massive cameo.
Especially if it's an A-lister playing that part.
It has to be an A-lister. So it has to be someone who's going to be recognizable, that's going to blow our mind.
So I know everyone's been saying John Krasinski, but if it is John Krasinski and it's Reed Richards, I'm going to be like, holy fucking shit.
Yeah, of course. How can you not? And it's like I've said before, like Reed in the comics has slowly been changed to look more and more like John Krasinski.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't know if that's intentional.
If that's always been the plan.
When you think of some of the nerds who know this, but for example, Samuel L. Jackson, like when we got like Black Nick Fury in the comics, it was modeled after Samuel L. Jackson.
Right.
Now I don't think at the time that was
intentional,
it wasn't for him to. But I think that we know. When I've talked about the synchronic connection between Spider-Man: Far From Home, the Ant-Man comics, there was like there was a little 6-issue run that Synchronic did for the Ant-Man comics, which features Ant-Man and the Wasp fighting Kang in the Quantum Realm.
Right.
Yeah. Now we're gonna get Ant-Man in a Quantum Mania.
Right.
Happy and Spider-Man: Far From Home comes in with this big synchronic check, which links back to the comics. So I feel like if all the people who don't have a life like me, who have been like looking maybe a little bit too much into this, have noticed that slowly over time his appearance in the comics has changed to look kind of more and more like John Krasinski.
Right.
And if you bring in John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, I mean, look, I'll be fine with it. I would rather most likely have someone else, to be honest. But those are names.
Right, those are names.
Those are names that are going to turn heads. Those are names that are going to get people's attention. So like, yeah, if we do get him coming out in like sort of Jim dorky vibes with his glasses on, and the button down, shaking his hand like, oh hey, I'm Reed Richards, a little nerdy. Yes. Yeah. Like, come on, and everyone's gonna lose their minds. It's gonna go crazy. Like, it has to, like that. Like, it's it.
Yeah,
like, I'm fully confirmed. I'm so leaning on Victor that we're gonna get Victor into here.
Right.
Play him up as the good guy, only to see him turn. But yeah, we're definitely gonna get this cameo probably towards like the second half of the episode.
That would be awesome.
And it'll be bonkers. And if the rumors are true that these episodes are gonna be 1 hour long,
I don't know if they are though.
The last couple of
regardless, I'm not gonna put all my eggs in that basket that they are going to be an hour each, but it would be cool.
Right. But we've been saying for the longest time that the last 3-ish episodes are going to be nuts.
Yes.
And it's definitely building that way. Now, to get back to Wanda.
Yeah.
And the Hex. We've said it before that there's going to be some sort of explosion or some sort of blast that more people are going to get affected. And that's how you bring in your Fantastic Four. That's how you bring in your X-Men.
Right.
Like you said, when Vision flies up there, very Superman style, we get a sense of like how big this fucking thing is.
Yes.
Okay. Westview, quote unquote, is right across the Hudson from New York City. So if this thing blasts out and it's a hex, so we saw like only really one side kind of expand. If it's blasting out more, possibly affecting people in New York City, possibly affecting people like miles deeper into Jersey, then it's all there. These can all be your these can all potentially be your X-Men, and we get kids in this episode. Which kids is like, where'd you hide all the kids?
Yeah, where'd you hide all the kids?
So we got kids, we got teenagers. These could be like your young X-Men that you can sign up for, like because you don't have to bring them in now.
Right.
You can just say like, you sign who. Give me like a young actor's name, Calvin Harris Jr.
Okay.
He's like what, like 21, some shit like that.
Something like that.
I don't know, whatever. But you can get Calvin Harris Jr. in here. Like he makes his debut as any X-Men. I don't know, Spike. I like Spike, so that's just one that came to mind. He makes his thing as Spike, and then you just have your little backstory, like, oh, he was one of the people that was affected in the Hex.
Right.
Just simple shit like that.
Simple shit like that.
Yeah, but
exactly.
I think it's all there.
I know.
It is all there.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm banking on a Fantastic Four intro, cameo, whatever in the next episode.
Bro, I'm putting that on the poster. WandaVision, it's all there, because we've said it's all there for like the last 3 recaps.
But it's so
true though.
Genius.
It's so true.
Like, it's so genius.
Yeah.
And again, it's the luxury that Marvel has of just these 12 years, 13 years of storytelling. You have all these little pieces you can play up to. You can have fun. You now have a streaming service where you can like have a blast. If you told me like 2 years ago, before Disney Plus, before everything, like, oh, we're gonna get like a Vision movie or a WandaVision movie, like, I'd be excited, but
we'd be like, eh.
Yeah, it was like same thing with Bucky and Winter Soldier. Like,
Yep.
oh, we're gonna get a Falcon movie, we're gonna get a Bucky movie. I'd be like,
Yeah.
Are these like really people who can lead movies?
Right.
But when you put them in this, like this long form storytelling, you have fun on Disney Plus. Is like, and it's a blast, and it's definitely so far up to this point been some of the best that we've seen from Marvel
By far.
Yes.
Like by far. Like
Yes.
like I will take this over a lot of the films that they've done.
lot.
Like a lot. And the other thing too is how much, and because it's as good as it is, it's only helping their back catalog, because it's strengthening every other appearance that they've had now. Because we were watching Infinity War, right? And like I now care about these people so much more in Infinity War and what happens to them, because I now have what happens in WandaVision.
Right. And not just that, but now moving forward too. Like you said, I don't think a Jimmy Woo and Darcy spin-off show would work, but I'm excited to see Jimmy Woo again whenever this is all over. I like the introduction of Monica. I'm excited to see what she's going to do moving forward. And something that we forgot to mention in the last episode, which I want to bring it back up now, the sword shade of blue.
Yes.
It's a very Fantastic Four shade of blue.
We've been saying that though. We have been saying that since that fourth episode.
Well, we said the color scheme.
The color scheme.
Yeah.
But then I feel like some of the uniforms that the scientists in that, when they were building the ship, I feel like some of them had like that blue on as well.
Yeah, it's very Fantastic
it's
Four
very
shade
Fantastic
of
Four,
blue, yes.
for sure. But we're kind of all over the place right now, but I want to go back to Jimmy Woo because I think you even said this too, how the next episode could be very much in the vein of like The Office.
Yes.
And have like, having Krasinski come on, and Jimmy Woo, Randall Park, played Asian Jim Halpert in one of the episodes of The Office. So it's like it's all
very similar to like the Kick-Ass thing.
It all fits. Very similar to Kick-Ass thing.
Yeah. Well, not so much The Office, but like when you think of like more recent sitcoms, like
you said Modern Family and stuff, where they
breaking
sit,
the fourth wall.
They sit down, talk to the camera.
Yeah. So I'm thinking we're gonna get some more shit like that. But I actually don't think the next episode is gonna be a sitcom episode.
I kind of hope that we see what happens to,
I think it's gonna be like episode 4.
I hope so too. Like I want to go back. I want to see what happens to Wanda. Like I'm really interested in that. I want to see what happens to Wanda, how she causes the hex, how she brings Vision back. I want to see all of that.
I think that's what's gonna happen, to be honest. Because like once like I said, I was just mentioning, and I have a feeling that the next episode. Ooh, I'm talking really fast. Okay. Relax, Martin. Relax.
You need to relax.
It's getting sweaty.
I'm getting sweaty. Yeah, my hands are already like a little moist.
A little moist.
But yeah, I actually think that's what's going to happen in the next episode. I think we are going to pick up this is just me speculating, but I think we are going to pick up right when Avengers Endgame finished up.
Yep.
We're going to follow Wanda for a little bit. We're going to get the sort of realization that she knows what's going on. We're going to get, her breaking vision out. And I think we're going to get the origin of the Hex and how everything's happening, because we're already in the end game.
Yeah, we are. In the
like
end game,
it's fine. Like introduce a villain, because we're going to get Doctor Strange in the following episode, I assume. And from there, it's just like the long haul. It's just the fight, trying to wrap everything up.
Right.
So I assume we're gonna get like the villain in the next episode. We're gonna get the Fantastic Four reference, and I think it's gonna be more in line of episode 4 than it is these sitcom shows.
I would think so too, and also too because this episode felt almost like, even though it's episode 6 and we still have 3 more to go, this felt like a part 1.
Yeah.
Because how it just ends, it felt like it just abruptly ends after this whole thing happens, and it's like almost like a to be continued kind of thing.
And the fact that you keep saying like don't end, like it's just testament to like just how good it is.
Yep.
And it's like and this is I'm glad we brought this up, because I love that we're back. Between this and Mando, I love that we're back to like weekly format.
Yes.
If this came out all at once, it would have been gone already.
That's what I mean.
This
like,
hype would have been gone.
It would have been talked about for a week, and then people would have been on to the next thing.
It would have been people over.
This is why like I'm kind of against like the whole binge watching thing. One, because it's a pain in the ass, because there are some people that just watch it all in one shot, and then there's spoilers all over the place. So it's like if I can't catch up right away, it's like I'm fucked. You know what I mean?
We did really good with The Boys, though.
We did really good with The Boys. Yeah. I don't know how we avoided that.
I don't know either, but we did really good. Yeah.
But with this, it's every week, so it gives you something to look forward to. It keeps the hype going. People are talking. We can do fucking weekly recaps. You know what I mean? So it's awesome, man. I do love it.
Every single person's looking forward to Friday to watch WandaVision, and then everyone's looking for that. Everyone's looking for the buzz to like talk about it and have fun. But
except for those fucking people that watch it at 3 a.m. and then put spoilers all over Twitter.
Yeah, just like everyone has to be first.
No
like,
sympathy for you guys. Get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here.
Fuck you.
But we're gonna do all. We're gonna do Joey Gallo. We're gonna do get the fuck out of here. And we're gonna do a fuck you. We're doing all of it. We're going crazy.
Get the fuck out of here.
You get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. I don't want to hear that bullshit.
Fuck you.
But yeah, fuck those people. So I'm pumped. I am so pumped. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for. I just like this next episode is gonna be bonkers.
Yes,
bonkers.
It's gonna kick off the trilogy of episodes that are gonna be bonkers.
Yeah, it's gonna kick off that. I was gonna make a Clone Wars reference, but you haven't seen Clone Wars, so you can go fuck yourself.
Wow.
Never mind.
Fine, bro. But all right, Nerds Nation, that does it for us. What do you guys think of episode 6? What do you think is going to happen these next 3 episodes? Comment and let us know. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. Remember to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube page, and remember you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you can see that big, beautiful FN logo. Anything else you want to leave with the people, Martin?
Yes.
What?
Of course. So much more. But just the fact that Wanda made the Hex bigger to save Vision shows that she's the sort of control that she has.
Oh yeah, she has so much control.
Yeah, and now all those people near the Ellis Avenue or whatever are now going to be more sort of like sentient.
More sentient. Yeah, I guess you could say that for sure. But all right, guys, make sure you come back next Wednesday for our recap of episode 7, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.